Yeah, I'd be like, bye.
Thanks for all the fish.
I'm not a dolphin,
Yeah, so I'd say you guys are
but I am a rat.
you guys are a few hundred
So
yards.
what's the plan of the attack then?
Yeah, you guys are about
Are we all back?
a few hundred. I think so.
Raise your hand if you're not back.
Oh,
I think we're missing Garn.
I was just like talking and talking and talking, and I was muted.
What were you saying?
Oh no, I was just saying you know what the situation is and what you guys were asking what you were gonna do now. But you
So
guys
going
are in the camp now, in the little camp that you made. I'd say you're a few hundred probably yards off of where the Goblin tribe is stationed.
Also, we're super close.
Yeah, not terribly far away. Far enough that you know you can't be seen or anything, but you know a few hundred yards is you know like maybe a football field.
Okay, awesome. So Wuce can just run over there and rig the thing. We can stay a few hidden in the trees just in case something horrible happens. Oh no, actually, we don't even have to go because if something horrible happens, Wuce can just transport back to us.
Yeah, but you should be nearby because you know who knows how many rounds that would take you to get there.
You don't wanna watch the goblins splatter.
Oh, I do.
Oh, I'm dumb as fuck.
All right,
I'm
so
thinking
yeah,
it might be
let's all-
fun to try to be in the thing.
I also
Sneak
relate
over there.
the fact that there are like traps and stuff at some point, right? As we get closer to the camp.
You did spot some, yeah, like little tripwires and things.
I belay that information as well.
So we're going at night.
Is there anyone without dark vision?
Ayan does not have dark vision.
I think goblins do.
Be too much fighting going on. Hopefully, it's just our plan succeeds and that's that.
Well, were the goblins on watch inside the tarped area, or were they outside of it?
Most of them were outside it, kind of more patrolling the perimeters of their camp. They didn't seem to be too concerned with what was going on the inside. You don't get the impression that they think something's going to, you know, like sneak into their camp in the night. They seem the goblins on patrol seemed more interested on keeping watch on the outer perimeters of their camp.
I'll let the crew know that as well.
They were kind of hard to spot too. They were kind of when they're stationary, they're kind of cloaked in little moss capes, and they tend to kind of crouch down, and they almost become like a part of the scenery when they're not moving. But then, you know, when they get up and move, you know, you can tell that it's a little goblin. But they are wearing like little kind of camouflage little jungle ghillie suits almost.
Interesting. So I would say, yeah, 100% we should approach at night. And, you know, I don't have dark vision, but if things get hairy, I'll just light a torch.
Okay. All right. Well then, Wuce, it's your lead. You're on point.
Time to execute.
All right, give me that rope.
Sure. I hand him the rope from my navigation or my explorer's kit.
Goblins do have dark vision, by the way.
Okay.
And then, you know, just let's go over the knots again real quick.
Okay. So I show him all the sailor knots that he might need for this.
And so you're gonna try and sneak in loose and tie a rope to the base of the tree, and then get it attached to the large vine that is the staked into the ground. So when it flings, they basically stay together, and it just yanks the ball back down, slamming it in, kind of like a pendulum, just slamming it back down into the ground.
That's right.
Okay. And you're all gonna approach the camp together.
Yeah, and then we'll let Wuce, go out and handle the most stealthy part. But yeah, we'll sneak up to a certain point where.
Sure. So as you guys now are creeping closer, and you're not you kind of notice now here and there, kind of piked up on little stakes, and even occasionally hanging from a tree now and again. Now that you're all kind of creeping up closely together as a group, there are various like animal skulls and humanoid-looking skulls, kind of peppering the forest now as you are getting closer to the camp. Seems almost like a way of the goblins here, like marking their territory. Um, and as you creep closer, how close as a group do you get? Maybe give me some collective stealth checks.
Oh boy.
Do we have guidance?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Oh yes.
Did
All right, I'm gonna say for the to anchor it to the base of the tree, I'd use a bowline knot, and then to attach the second line to the initial line, I'll use an Albright special knot.
Okay.
Which, if you guys want to look that up.
It's fuck.
okay? My sheet is gone crazy. It won't let me roll.
Garn, you son of a gun.
It won't let me roll, so let me just roll it the other way.
That's weird. Let's see. Sorry, I think I broke the map here.
Oh no.
Yeah, it just won't let me do my skill checks.
Let me see if it's if I can roll them. Maybe if you just refresh the browser, it might help.
Okay.
Huh, yeah, that's weird. They're all giving me an error too when I roll your character sheet. Let's see if anything strange is clicked in the cogwheel.
Probably.
Yeah, I can roll your like saving throws. I can roll your statistics, but none of your skill checks are rolling.
Let me just play with it. I think I may have. I was trying to get blessed to work on my skill, or not blessed, but guidance, and I must have clicked on something bad.
But I've dropped you guys down on the map here, so you got some pretty decent stealth checks, and you're all able to get up pretty close actually. and you feel like you haven't been noticed. On the way, Wuce and Ayan, you spot a few of the tripwires and things, and you manage to circumvent or disable them entirely without setting off any alarms. And you can see now, as you guys are peering over the camp, is this whole map revealed to you guys, or is it a line of sight dynamic lighting?
Dynamic lighting for me.
Okay.
Same.
I can never tell on my end, so that's good.
I'm gonna assume the tree we're closest to is the tree it's anchored to, or is that not correct?
Nope. So, what did you stealth roll?
Me?
Yeah. 18 total.
18.
So the tree that it's anchored to is more centralized in the camp, near where the near the center where all the huts are. I can ping it, but with line of sight enabled, you might not be able to tell. But it's this tree here.
On the map, okay, so okay, gotcha.
Peering over a little closer to the camp now, you can as you first approach, it's hard to tell. It doesn't seem like there's any goblins, but then, you see a couple of them kind of pace a few distances away, and they almost look like a little bush when they're not moving, and occasionally then they'll like take up a new position and almost then blend back in with the foliage and little shrubberies and things around here. You see, after watching for a few moments, there's probably about 5 patrollers in total that you can make out. And then from the center of the camp, you hear kind of a collective little bit of goblin snoring going on from where their huts are all stationed.
From my years of stealthing, do I feel like I can get to that tree without being noticed by the 2 guards that I am aware of?
Yeah, why don't you give me another stealth check? So you watch them, and after just observing them for a short amount of time, they don't seem to be very, alert, really. Mostly they seem to be patrolling fairly lazily. They don't, they expect, usually you get the impression that they're going to hear anybody coming, usually, and they don't seem to be super heightened and alert right now. They're kind of being more like lazy. You see actually one of them kind of like plop down next to a tree stump and like take off his little wooden mask, exposing his red goblin face, and one of the other goblins eventually notices that and come over and kicks him, and to get back up again. But they seem, for the most part, fairly unalert, and you think that you can probably get close enough to the tree to begin to get your rope salt set up.
All right, I guess unless anyone else has anything, last words, I'll go and try and do my anchoring.
Take the wand, so if you need to communicate with us, you can do that.
Oh, I basically just have it in my inventory.
Okay.
I'm assuming that the second you set off this thing, we just charge in.
Wait, what?
when you set off this thing, like there are going to be goblins outside of it. Are we just going to charge in and kill them, or are we just going to sit back and watch?
Oh, when I set it off, I thought you
Yeah.
said when I say all this. I was like,
No. Sorry.
Yeah, I think especially since they're standing outside, triggering the trap, maybe we'll be able to surprise them and take them down quick.
yeah, that's the plan. I'm assuming.
All right, huddle up and let's go.
All right, well, wish me luck. Wish me luck, fellas.
Good luck.
All right, I guess I'm off to the slow races, the stealth
Oh,
races.
shit.
So you watch the goblins, and a couple of them move. One kind of like moves off to the northern part of the camp, and another one creeps like very close, just to the edge of where you guys are all kind of huddled behind this large rock and some of these jungle trees. And for a moment, you all like hold your breaths uh, and you think the goblin's spotted you, but you hear him just kind of like mumbling to himself in Goblinoid, and he like picks up a stone and kind of just throws it off into the jungle, and then he wanders off back like in the direction of where the little cage is, um, and he just seems like he's really bored, and then Woos, you dart off between the two in a time where you think that you have a little window of opportunity to make your way between these two guards.
I dart.
And you make your way to the tree without any trouble.
Sounds good. And then I begin my my rope work, I guess.
Yeah, kind of a nervous sweat begins to take hold on your brow, even though you're a little damp from the humidity of the jungles already. Um, uh, you know, your sweat glands take over and begin sweating through your fur as a little uh, misstep or just the wrong turn a goblin takes, and you could be kind of spotted at any moment. But you get your rope wrapped around the tree without any trouble, and now all you have to do is get it tied to the vines that connect this goblin mechanism all together.
So I've got it to a point that I feel it's good.
Around the tree base. You can give me a dexterity check actually to see how deftly that you get your rope tied. Your stealth was an 18, right? With the guidance.
Is it a save or a check?
Not a save, just a dex check. And then once you get your ropes tied around the tree, why don't you give me another stealth check as well?
Still at 18, I guess.
Okay. It seems to be good enough. The goblin who had moved off north turns and he starts moving back in your direction. Just as you're about to move off and finish tying your rope off to their vines, but you spot him just in the nick of time coming back in your direction, and he stops maybe like a few feet from you, just at the tree on the other side. You kind of have your back to the tree now, and this goblin approaches and stops. And again, you guys are watching this, and it seems like he's gonna just a few more steps, and he's going to be on the other side of the tree and spot the rat just standing there with a rope in his hand, getting ready to tie off. But then he stops and he moves off in like the other direction, just towards the far end of the camp. He rolled a 17 on his perception.
Jesus, that was close. All right, so since I feel they're anchored well now, right?
Mm-hmm. To the tree, yeah.
To the tree, I'm gonna go ahead and spring it.
Well, you have to connect it to the vines.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah,
Wait,
you haven't done the vines yet.
by vines, you mean the part that's connected to the stake?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, I got to do that.
Yeah.
Sorry, I thought I was all done. All right, so yeah, I do that part now.
So give me another dex check. Nice. And you feel like you have your knots tied pretty solidly. And all that's left is to spring it to find out for sure. You're standing there next to this large wooden stake that's been hammered into the ground. You've tied off your rope to the tree and the vines that attach this whole mechanism to the stake. And there's that little bit of vine dangling, just looking at you to reach out and grab it and pull.
Wait, what was the last thing you said?
Pull his finger.
Yeah, you're basically ready to pull. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, let's do it.
The vines are pretty thick, but you reach your hands out and grab onto the large twisting vines that the goblins have adjusted here to make a quick escape from their camp from any predators. You give a hard tug, and the vines come loose all at once. The tree flings the mechanism up into the air. It all wraps up into a big tight ball, and it soars maybe 70, 80 feet until the extensions of the vines pull it taut, and with a crash, yank it back down instantaneously in a moment, back towards the jungle floor. With a crunch and crash, it all splinters and breaks. All the large pole-like structures that the vines were all tied to that hold this whole thing together come crashing back to the ground right beside you, basically, as it just flings it straight up back over your head and yanks it instantly back down. The 5 goblin guards turn and all see you standing there next to the wreckage, and you hear like a squishing sound nearby as who knows how many goblin bodies have been splattered inside of this tangled mess.
Genius.
And the 5 guards that were outside of the little contraption rush towards you.
Do I see this?
Yeah. They all you all spot them now. Yeah.
Okay, I draw my short bow and knock an arrow.
I'd say that they're pretty surprised about this whole thing, so let's just go ahead and give you guys a surprise round.
Aye.
I'm gonna head towards the guy to my right.
Okay.
I'm just gonna set off towards Wuce.
So yeah, I can reach him this round. And
Oh
I'll
yeah,
go ahead,
for sure.
I'll go ahead and rapier him.
A 9 is a miss, unfortunately. You misjudge.
Wait, hold on though. don't I get an advantage or something?
I mean, it's a surprise round, so you guys just get to act before them. Do you get advantage? He at this point they know that you're there, so it's not like he doesn't see you, but
Okay. I'll use my offhand with the other weapon. The what do I have there? The short sword.
I think it's just.
Oh yeah, I get advantage on creatures that haven't taken their turn in combat yet. Yeah.
Oh, okay, then yeah, 24 is a hit.
And any hit you score is a critical.
Yep.
That's true. Yeah. Thanks for helping me out there, Ayan.
Yeah, and as all these Goblin Patrol guards kind of drape off their little camouflage suits, Wuce, you charge at one nearest to you, just driving your rapier directly into his belly, and he kind of slumps over, knocking into you as you both kind of collide, and he falls down dead.
As he's dying, I'm like, it's okay, let it happen, let it happen.
Gangster.
Dude just moved.
I just
Guy's
couldn't.
a spirit.
He was too far off to the side. I couldn't select the little X off the icon list.
Yeah, I'm just joking, saying he's a phantom now.
Yeah. What about the rest of you guys? Sigismund, Ayan, Riceak, and Garn.
I'd like to take a shot at the other one near the fire with a bow. So I would move to here, and then fire with my short bow.
Uh, 24 is a hit for sure.
And since I have the
Yeah, no problem, Wuce.
yeah, I have the what's it called? The roguish swashbuckler archetype quality. Sneak attack.
Yep.
All right.
Yours I always remember. The assassin one has more stipulations to it, and it's hard for me to remember if he has advantage or not on his, or when he has advantage if nobody's around. Yours is always if nobody's around, you just always have advantage on the attack.
Yeah, I'm still trying to get better at just knowing that as well.
Yeah.
All right.
And your arrow sails out, just piercing him right between the eyes, going through his little wooden ant mask and dropping him to the jungle floor.
So at this point, I want to sheath my bow and draw my scimitars, and then can I move one back?
Sure.
Behind the tree?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I do. Intern.
Also, I don't know if you... Asaka doesn't have
Oh yeah, I always forget to drop her.
I'm gonna go for that other goblin and go. Thard Hard said, "Get over here!"
the one to the left.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Okay, maybe not this time.
Yeah, he's about 60 feet away.
Yeah, that's the reach of it, but I don't think a 9. Oh no, it's 30 feet. Never mind. I thought it was 60. I need to do Toll of the Dead then. So DC is a 15 Wisdom save. And it'd be 6 points or no damage.
No damage. The adrenaline pumping through his goblin brain right now just...
No problem. That's my turn.
What's it? Can you just remind me on that? Isn't there something when if they haven't taken damage yet?
The first damage, the 6 points right there, would be if they took no damage. The 3 points would be if they had taken damage.
Okay, so that's all that those two numbers are for, then.
Yeah, they don't add together.
And they're both necrotic.
Necrotic.
Yeah.
And that
Okay.
may be spelled wrong too.
Well, I was just curious because it's only under one of them.
Yeah, it's the same damage on both of them.
Gotcha, thanks.
Azaka takes off at a sprint. And she dashes for her turn.
Godspeed, my lady.
As she does, she draws a javelin from her side. And she hucks it as hard as she can.
Nailed it.
Just taking the goblin right off his feet as it kind of hits him right in the throat. And he lets out like a goblin gurgle.
Ooh, baby, baby, she's a wild one. I'm gonna start serenading her for now.
Sigismund and Ayan, I think you still have an action on this surprise round.
Okay, can Ayan see anything here?
You can make out two dead goblins by the firelight, I think.
And Azaka, probably.
And Azaka, yeah. The flames dancing off of her.
What about the fire on the north, the top left area?
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Covering it up or no?
No, there's nothing covering it. You
So
can
you-
also see the fire flames flickering on the far end of the camp as well. I don't know that it illuminates the other goblins quite enough for you
It's
to...
40 feet. 40 feet.
So you at least see that. The fire.
And light a torch here just so that I can see by it, and I'm just gonna move into position here.
35. Yeah, so they both just basically have a little outline in the flames for you, and you can make out that there's at least two goblins still alive in the camp. And Sigismund, what about you?
Where on the map? Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Where on the map is the ball of dead things now?
So it basically got flung up in the air, and
So it's
kinda-
like out here.
kind of landed, yeah, like over here.
I can actually get up here.
Wait, so I'm on the ball right now then?
No, you were, yeah, I mean, like, you're kind of in the wreckage a little bit, in the heat.
Oh, it's no
Yeah.
longer a ball. It's just kind of
Yeah,
all kind of...
yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, I'm just gonna run up there to Wuce.
Wait, can I put myself back where I was though?
Yeah, sure.
Where was I? I don't remember.
Right next to me.
Right there?
Yes, sir.
Thanks.
I won't have us do a full initiative order for two goblins, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So in the chaos, the goblins, I don't think, are totally sure like what's going on or how many people have now attacked the camp or even what's attacked the camp. So they start rushing towards the wreckage.
Dance my pretties.
Yeah, if anybody had spoke Goblin, they might hear some of what these goblins are shouting now as they rush closer. But
What do we hear?
you hear just kind of like as they're infuriated at the situation currently happening to them.
So like a murloc.
And Glyst, you can take a turn if you'd like.
All right.
Where's his avatar thing at?
As a wild bard emerges from the jungles,
Fucking internet.
we can get a token here.
Token, that's the word I'm looking for.
Ooh, I see things now.
Welcome to the fight.
Do any of us notice that he's there?
Yeah, he's been traveling with you guys.
Nice.
Ooh.
There has to be
scattered around.
There has to be a little bit of a suspension of disbelief because I don't particularly like playing people's characters when they're not in the session. So
That's cool.
yeah.
Glyst. Hey.
Hey. So there's 2 goblins.
2 goblins left, yeah.
I don't think I can make it anywhere near. Sure, I'll move. I'll move 30 feet, just next to
In about 30
I guess
minutes.
Riceak, yeah.
Yeah, you can move up. Riceak's back here with you. Ayan's up there.
My bad,
and
Sigismund.
yeah.
Sigismund, I think I believe.
Sigismund's up
No.
with Wuce.
Then it is Ayan. Sorry, Ayan.
No worries, Ayan. That's cool.
So in like 20 minutes?
Glysts. Yeah,
Sorry,
like
I
20
can't.
minutes.
Is that what you're saying? 20 minutes? Ayan?
I'll move there and
20 minutes or so.
I guess I'll take a hand crossbow shot at him.
$19 is a hit. And you tumble.
Sorry.
You
Where's the damage at?
You tumble out of the woods. Mystical bard Ayan appears beside you and
There we
fires
go.
a shot from his hand crossbow that he draws in the middle of his roll. He lets his bolt loose and strikes the goblin directly in his heart. There's a moment of panic and then relief as it drops dead to the ground.
Oh, very flashy. Nice shot. I appreciated the flair.
My aim is better than my internet. That's my turn.
And Izaka is the closest, I guess, so she continues her long strides through the Goblin Camp, drawing another javelin. But she throws a little wide, and she pulls a second one. And again, just right over the goblin's head. Garn, you're pretty close. Maybe you can finish this last guy off.
I had to do a double move to get there.
Oh, gotcha. You could get in Toll the Dead range. We're just kind of freeform combat right now because there's no sense in rolling initiative
Got it.
for 2 goblins.
So DC 15 or 5 points of damage. So he took 5 points.
Yep, you see him kind of like put both his hands up on his temples and shake his head as he hears a thundering thard har in his mind. And he doesn't know what to make of that. He's basically at the end of the order, so Sigismund, Wuce, Riceak, Ayan, feel free.
I don't
Okay,
even really see where he is.
He's on the very far end of the camp. Right about there.
I
I'm
could,
over there and kill him if you guys want.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was saying I could probably reach him to kill him if you guys want me to just do that.
Yeah, I can too. Go ahead. Go for it. I'll go if you can't do it. If you don't do it, rather.
This is going to be a fun loot grab.
And then I'll use my roguish action to dash here. 5, 10, 5, 30. Can I hit him from here?
How far away from
Right.
him are you?
What are you throwing a dagger at him? Did you say?
It's my sling.
Oh yeah, he's 40 feet.
With disadvantage here. Alright, I miss him.
Okay, I guess I'll try.
Other than that.
Let me check something real quick. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I'd... Let's see if I can make it to him.
You got a short bow, don't you, Wuce?
I do.
So you can probably get close enough to take a shot with that.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of the angle. I guess I go north, like up and left, I guess.
Yeah, so basically
Well,
where the
all this stuff is not there anymore.
yeah, so basically like
yeah,
where
sorry,
the where the whole contraption is and all the tents, that's basically like a big just a, kind of a big clearing now, like all the jungle's been kind of scraped away and it's basically just a flat dirt floor underneath. You can see you can see like cockroaches and little bugs now scuttling in every direction as their cover's been blown, you know.
So I can take a shot from... I just need to be within 80 feet of him. Gotcha. So yeah, okay, I'll move to within 8. In order to do that, though, I will have to use my cutting action to get some additional movement.
Sure.
That should be close enough. And then I'll just fire un short bow arrow at him.
He's got 2 HP left. Just gotta hit him. There you go. You creep a little closer and kind of point your bow like up at a little angle and fires your shot, and it kind of like does a big arc and drops down right on the top of the goblin's head. And it just sinks down into his skull, and he just kind of crumples into a goblin heap. And you all kind of stand there momentarily, kind of frozen, waiting for perhaps maybe more goblins hiding in the jungle or something, but you don't get rushed by anything out in the dark jungles. And now next to you there, Sigismund, is a big mess of a heap of what was this little goblin encampment. It's kind of a mangled pile of sticks and twigs and bodies. You can, being close now to the heap there, you can kind of see the stains of blood now seeping through the moss and leaves of the little makeshift tarp the goblins had made. And you're kind of.
Is there another tent over by that northern fire?
Yeah, there is.
I think we should secure the camp before we do anything.
I go into the tent.
Yeah, it looks like a larder of sorts there, Garn. It seems like the goblins store their fresher foods here that they pull from the river. You get the smell of, kind of surprising in a big goblin camp like this, the smell of fresh meat and fish, and other perishable foods. There is stuff in there that is kind of rotten, but there's a little pile of different jungle fruits in the corner. As well as kind of a shoddy barrel that's got been filled with some of the river water, and there are some dead fish in there. And there are a few animal carcasses that look like they've been mostly scraped clean, but there are bits of like meat and sinew still left.
Okay. I start pulling the pieces that are good that will make a good meal for tonight out and start heading to the fire.
Sure, yeah. It's getting pretty it's getting pretty late in the evening now. I mean, probably approaching now midnight, maybe even like 1 a.m. as you guys have been trudging through the jungles for a good portion of the night, trying to follow the tracks and eventually getting you here to this goblin encampment. But yeah, you find plenty of stuff that would be edible for not even goblin standards, but even like human standards. A lot of it is still, especially the fish, are still pretty fresh. Some of the fish in there are still pretty fresh, as well as some of the fruits that they've seemed to have been gathering from the jungles as well.
And look, more canoes.
Yeah, there are actually 3 good canoes in the goblin camp as well that don't have any holes poked in them.
And we can use them to whatever we find. Put in, yeah.
Yep. And this little stream here kind of connects back down to the River Shosen Star.
So I say we rest, and then after you decide that there's any goblins left to kill,
there are no goblins left to kill, but if you guys start poking through the wreckage of what was once their camp, you eventually drag out about 24 goblin bodies.
Oh shit!
It looks like about 12 of them are adults. One of them in particular is a bit bigger than the rest of them, and she has like a big, elaborately woven like hairdo. It's like kind of like a big poofy goblin afro, and down the center has been kind of like braided. She's got she's kind of adorned with a lot of like bracelets and necklaces that are made of bones and ears and things like that. You get the impression that maybe this was the chief of the camp. Most of the rest of the bodies look like they're like young goblin younglings.
Oh.
I want to take that bone and ear necklace and I'm gonna put it on.
Nice. Yeah, and you get the impression that you killed a little earlier in the day back at the shrine, maybe half of this goblin tribe already, or the half of the adults, anyways.
Looks like we finished the job, fellas.
So 420 experience each, as well.
Wait, you said 420?
Uh-huh.
Are you trying to get me to go smoke right now?
Well, it calculated to 416. I just rounded up.
Time to load the bong.
So let's do some loot grabbing here. You do find amongst the wreckage, there are broken barrels and boxes that were kind of probably tucked away inside of some of these little huts, and you do find maybe 12 sticks of the insect repellent that you can replenish a little bit with. And why doesn't everybody roll a D100 for me?
Oh shit.
So as you guys are kind of picking through the wreckage here, let's see, who rolled that 77? Garn?
Garn.
This will take me a minute, sorry.
No problem.
Garn, you
I
find
think we all
a
rolled an array.
Garn, you find a halberd with a blade in the shape of a pouncing snake.
Cool. Can't use it, but it's cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
To it.
Okay. I'll bring it to the party loot pile and go, hey, it's magical.
Ayan, 19. You find a small bottle. It looks fairly simple. It's like made of some sort of pottery, much like the jug. And when you uncork it, you smell like a strong liquor smell.
Interesting. Around and see if anyone recognizes what it is.
Yeah, I think probably Riceak could identify it as whiskey.
Didn't hear that?
Got it. It's in the loop. It's in the loop bag.
Does Garn sense any magic coming off of it?
Yes, he does. Magical bottle of whiskey. Yes. Sigismund, 32. Picking through the wreckage, you find an odd item, something you definitely probably wouldn't expect to find in this little goblin trove here. You find what looks to be a simple snow globe.
Oh shit. Well, show it to Garn.
It's got like it's like a little forest scene, and it portrays like there's a little like mountain scene, and there's like two little wolves that are like padding along a little trail, and it's got little pine trees and things, and you shake it, and the little snow drifts kind of float around in the water. It also is giving off a magical aura.
Oh shit.
And actually, I should probably just tell you guys what some of these items do so I don't have to re-look them all up later. This simple snow globe can be smashed to release a horrendous snowstorm. Temperatures sink to well below freezing for 1d12 minutes before the storm disappears.
Oh wow. That could be useful.
Ayan, your small bottle of alcohol will refill with a random alcoholic beverage every 12 hours.
Oh, that's dope.
77 was Garn's halberd. Khaleesi, get off me. This halberd, with the blade in the shape of a pouncing snake, the weapon pulls water from the user's body to create poison for its blade. Upon striking with it, it will do an extra d6 of poison damage.
I just wish it was something other than a halberd.
87 Wuce. Let's see. From some of these treasures these goblins have been collecting and hoarding over the years, probably, you find a these are all totally random too. Like I have no idea what any of this stuff is. I'm reading all these from a book that my girlfriend gave me for Christmas, actually.
Cool.
Ah,
You find a needle dart made from glass. This weapon does no damage but causes the target to hallucinate wildly for 1d10 minutes.
poke me with it.
Wait, it's a needle dart
Uh-huh.
made of glass.
It's like a little glass dart, and it does no damage but causes its target to hallucinate wildly for 1d10 minutes.
Okay, so I need to have like a blowgun or something for it.
Yeah, or you could just walk up and poke somebody with it.
Needle dart, make them hallucinate for 10 minutes.
1d10.
Who wants to get stabbed with it?
Me.
Glyst. 9. You find a wooden mask, which is all these goblins, have their own little wooden masks. Most of these goblins, all their masks kind of are carved and made to make them look like they have little ant heads. You find one that sticks out a little differently. This wooden mask is in the shape of a wolf's head, and it can be used to summon 1d6 wolf allies to fight by your side, but must be recharged under the full moon between each use.
I like it.
And Riceak, 37.
Real quick, the needle dart doesn't need a recharge.
Nope, doesn't say that it does.
I'm gonna cause a whole
You could,
village.
you could basically go back to Port Nyanzaru and just cause the entire town to hallucinate.
It's made of glass, so maybe don't use it as a projectile. Just use it as a stabbing weapon.
Yeah.
For sure.
Riceak, you find a little cat figurine carved from red jasper. One paw is raised in a cheeky fashion, kind of up next to its head. The statue causes the holder to suffer from random and sporadic nosebleeds that last 1d6 minutes.
I want my money back.
A 6-minute nosebleed might kill somebody.
Yeah, you could always like slip it into somebody's pocket or something.
Ayan doesn't drink, so he would trade you for that.
Oh wow.
Did you hear that?
Yeah, it's yours. It's yours, buddy.
Ayan carefully wraps it in a cloth and puts it in his bag.
Nice. I got this whiskey bottle.
Can anyone use the halberd?
I put it in the loot bag, so whoever wants to grab it.
The whiskey bottle?
No, I just listed everything in there, so you can look at it.
I can technically use it, but I don't think that's. I think you'd be better off
so
selling.
besides those little random magical items there, and the incense that you find to replenish your stores and give you a little bit more time in the jungle before you start getting attacked by insects and stuff when you camp. You also can find anything off of the adventuring gear table in the player's handbook that is under a value of 5 gold.
Oh, cool.
Which would be page 150 in the player's handbook.
Can we do that? Do you want us to do that right now?
No, you can just whenever. Don't go too wild, but like anything within reason under 5 GP.
Cool. So are these? Can I start pelting these goblins too?
Yeah. see. 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 adult red goblin bodies, 17 skins, and 10, 14 more smaller ones like child-sized, which you might get less for, but see you, Nat. Thanks for stopping by.
I was going to assume more since they're kind of like veal. They're like softer even.
You never know. Yeah, you can
No,
always.
yeah, I'm
Can-
just
Yeah.
guessing. You know.
Can you repeat those numbers? There's 14 child
I
goblin
have
skins.
them in my inventory, but
Okay, I'll take them off the loop bag then.
Yeah, 17 adult and 12 smaller like younglings, or 14. Sorry.
if you want to add them, I can. I didn't know you were keeping track of them. That's why I had them here.
Well, I was just writing down everything. If you want to take it off, you can.
And then another thing that you guys find on the queen around her neck, along with the tooth and ear necklace, she's also wearing a medallion that looks like it's made of bronze and adamantine, and there's the word Vorn etched into it.
Lorne?
Vorn, V-O-R-N.
Look at Garn.
Have I heard of this before?
Or have you sensing any magic off of it?
You are sensing magic off of it, but you've never heard of Vorn. You're not sure what that means.
What's the magic on it?
It's hard to say. I think it's probably a some sort of like transmutation magic. But it's hard to discern what its effects might actually be.
I put it on.
Nothing happens.
Born.
Still nothing happens. You think it's an activation device, though, now that you call out like that. It seems like it looks like it's been made to fit into something.
Okay.
And that maybe it's some sort of activation device for something.
Okay.
You have like an image of it?
I don't, unfortunately. It's kind of like a it's very simple looking. It's like it's like maybe the size of a doorknob, and it's like round and brass, and on the front of it, on one side, it just has engraved into the metal Vorn, the word Vorn.
Gotcha.
Would I be able to tell what language that's written in, or do I understand it to just be common?
Yeah, it's common. Yeah, it's
Okay.
it's common. Just says Vorn. It almost reads like a name.
If I use divine sense, do I get any idea if it's like horrible thing?
It's not giving you an evil vibe at all. No.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll have to take it back to town and see if Wakanda might be able to know anything about the history or
Yeah.
Camp Righteous or something else.
Nobody's proficient in Arcana, are they?
No.
I am.
No.
Are you? Are you, Glyst?
I am.
Why don't you give me a history check? Yeah, history probably.
Don't forget guidance.
So you've seen something like this before, I think, Glyst. This looks like it's would be similar to something that would be an activation device for something like a golem or a shield guardian.
An activation device for a golem.
Mm-hmm. And the person who has it in their possession could command the shield guardian or golem that it pairs to.
Looking around, there's nothing that looks like it would be that, right?
Mm-mm.
It pairs to some kind of golem or guardian.
Mm-hmm.
Like it'll activate said guardian.
Ooh, that's cool. Well, if we can find it, hopefully we can get it on our side.
Oh, and the one major thing that not major, but like that I've totally just skipped over is there are 3 large ant hills in the little camp here too. And these little
I was gonna ask about those.
yeah, these little mounds here are these like 8-foot tall ant hills. Which I just totally glanced over.
And they were wearing masks that made them look like ants.
Yeah.
What's with the carts at the bottom here?
That's a little bamboo cage. It looks like they probably use it to, house prisoners or animals, maybe some small animals sometimes when they capture things and they want to have a little fun, I guess.
Do any of the goblins have any gold coins or silver, copper?
Yeah, let's see. How about give me an investigation check. Give me like three total. 3 investigation checks.
16 passive.
16 passive. So just between all the wreckage and the goblins' little personal pouches and stashes that you pour through, let's see, 10, 17. You find about 93 silver and 39 gold.
These guys were loaded.
Can I get 2 more investigation checks as well?
Even if we're not proficient.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wait, what happened? What'd you say? You want everyone to give you an investigation check?
I just needed 3 of them.
Gotcha.
And you find between, like, in a various nooks and crannies that the goblins have kind of personally stashed away on various ones of their bodies, 6 little gemstones as well that are worth 20 gold each. Hold on, I think somebody might be at the door. So I gotta hop up real quick.
Women and children, but yeah.
very nervous mailman.
Did he have anything cool
He had a package for you.
for me?
Yep.
Well, shit. What's it shaped like?
Box.
Dildo.
A square
It's a-
box.
It
Rectangle.
says Vorn on the outside of it.
Yeah.
I'm hoping it's a. Yeah, I got nothing.
It's about the size of a doorknob.
Yeah, now you guys are just kind of here in the wreckage of this Goblin Camp. Fortunately, no large beasts or creatures seem to have been drawn thus far from the jungles from the loud crash that the Goblin Sling made, crashing back to the ground. Garn's got a little pot of fish stew going on over there in the corner, I think.
Are these actually anthills?
Yep.
Okay.
Large 8 feet tall anthills.
If I take a closer look at it, is it just like a regular anthill? Like there's nothing out of the ordinary?
Yeah, it seems like it. These particular goblins seem to be particularly skilled at ant husbandry.
Oh, okay.
They're ant keepers, basically.
So it isn't like there's a creepy like ant queen controlling them.
Nope, doesn't seem like it.
Well, do we need to rest then for the night and then continue on to the camp?
It would seem, yeah, that this would be probably a good place to rest, and you've been traveling through the jungles on foot most of the night. You do have canoes now that you could get back to your other canoes with, probably, if you wanted to. Or you could camp here, sure.
What do you guys want to do?
I'm good with whatever.
Rest and then travel back.
All right.
Garn has spoken.
Yeah, at some point, maybe after we hit up that other camp, we should head back to the city and unload some of the stuff so we don't.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Because
Yeah.
hopefully we can trade it with Wakanda and get some other items we can actually use.
And then also, I mean, we got like a good cachet of pelts, so
Yeah,
that'll be some good money right there to put forth towards.
Yeah,
everything.
what were the red ones worth, did I say?
Let me look it up again.
I think it was 100 gold.
No, black
25
were
for black,
Yeah.
red was 15, blue was 10. We currently have 27 adult reds and 14 kid reds. Kid reds.
I'm
So that's
assuming
a
there was
decent. That's some decent coin.
It's about 615 gold.
And he also said something about maybe being able to fashion us something as well. So this is like building reputation and favor with that tailor or whatever. What is it?
Yeah, he was like a tailor. He was like a high-end tailor.
Yeah, his ass was really high off the ground.
Yeah.
We're gonna be looking snazzy as fuck.
He probably
just-
does. He probably does a lot of the outfits for like the merchant princes and stuff, and some of the more wealthy people in Port Nine Zaru.
Maybe I'd get less noses turned up at me.
But you guys make camp here for the night then?
Yeah, I think so, right?
Yeah.
For the first time in maybe over almost 2 weeks now, I guess, the rain finally totally lets up. Even though it's still pretty hot and humid here in the night, it's the first time in some time that you're not being pelted by some varying degree of rain. And as morning rolls around and you're all huddled around one of these goblin fires, if you leave them burning in the night, it's the first time in a while that you've felt dry. Who knows how long that'll last.
Yeah, we're about to get back on the river.
Yeah.
Yay.
Oh, dry. Wait a minute. I'm wearing heavy armor. I stepped 5 feet.
Everybody
I'm
give
wet
me
again.
everybody give me an acrobatics check as you get into the canoes and
Oh, for fuck's sake.
No, I'm just
And
kidding.
I drown.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Oh, Sigismund's down.
Every fucking time. That acrobatics check. Every time. Managed to roll a 0 last time.
Yeah, that was good. That pit was good.
No, it wasn't.
For me it was. But you guys get these 3 canoes in the morning loaded up with anything that you would think might be useful to you in the future or valuable in any way. You got a hefty pile of bloody goblin corpses, that's for sure. You're gonna look pretty strange if you pass anybody on the riverways with just a boatload of goblin skins piled up in the back of one of your canoes, but maybe it'll be kind of like a deterrence from anybody fucking with you, you know?
There's no other like fur traders out here.
I mean, I don't know. You might be able to trade with like a Grung tribe for goblin skins, which are the frog people.
Take the goblin corpses, like, a few of them, and do a line of them from the ant hills to the middle, from all the ant hills, and just so that the ants will have a battle at some point when they meet one another.
Oh my god.
Nice.
Not enough destruction, I guess.
What? They're goblins. Who cares?
I like the idea.
I'm giving them back to nature.
With all these goblin skins, I think we have a passive intimidation number.
So you guys are, for sure. No, like it's definitely like at this point you're on the riverways. You're rolling with advantage on intimidation checks against any other people that you pass on the river. But this is the deepest you guys have been in the jungles on foot thus far in your journeys, and fortunately you do have a little stream that you can make your way back to your other boats if you so desire now, and not have to trudge through the jungles with all of this stuff.
Yes,
I desire.
So you guys get loaded up, and eventually you get back to where you had pulled your other canoes back up on the bank. It's still kind of slow going on the little stream. It's pretty narrow, but eventually it meets up after about an hour and a half downriver, down back with the river Soshin Star, and you backtrack a little ways back up to where you had met up with the riverbank and pulled your canoes up, and they seem to be all there intact and haven't been tampered with or anything in the night.
Yeah, because we wiped out that goblin tribe.
Yeah.
So get them all together, tie the ones that need to be tied to the ones we're going to be rowing, and let's get on to Camp Vengeance.
Let's see here. So I'd say you're still about a day's travel from what you can tell on Ayan's map from where you are now down to Camp Vengeance. You kind of see as you round one of the bends later in the day, you get that sense that you're getting close to the undead territory again. The jungles kind of grow deadly quiet, and there's just that very eerie vibe that something very ominous lurks to your eastern side of your boats as you sail up towards Camp Vengeance, row up towards Camp Vengeance on your boats, and eventually almost approaching sunset pretty much, I think, towards the very end of the day, coming around one final wind in the rivers. What you see ahead of you is kind of around the bend through some foliage. You make out a crude timber fortification. It seems to be a walled compound with watchtowers and tents inside of it, encircled by a ditch bristling with sharpened stakes. You see a large gatehouse at the front that faces the river, on the shore of which are 4 rowboats tied to a wooden post. Scattered around the fort are piles of charred human corpses and flayed animal carcasses that seem to be swarming with flies.
Well, this is lovely.
Do we see people
You do.
alive?
Atop, as you approach, atop of the gatehouse and the front of the fortifications, there are 2 men standing atop on a platform. And here we'll get some...
Can we make out what they're wearing?
Yes, one of them looks to be wearing a suit of fairly battered scale mail. He looks to be... he has his helmet off currently, and he has a long spear in one hand that he's kind of leaning on as you approach, and he spits over the end of the little makeshift rampart here. The other man on the top is seems to be wearing mostly leathers, and he looks to be of Choltean more native descent. He's got dark skin and long black braided hair. He's got a thick bushely beard, and as you guys are kind of getting your docks or your boats kind of up onto the shore and tied off, the more fully armored man kind of starts undoing his pants, and he just starts like pissing off the side of the rampart that he's standing on as you guys are kind of getting onto shore.
So he's pissing at us.
Yeah, pretty much.
I'll muck his penis. No.
It's kind of like off to the one side, but like he's not... Garn, I think what you notice especially is both of them look fairly dirty. They look pretty tired and worn out. Both of their armors look in fairly poor repair. Like neither of these men either have the means or the will to, maintain themselves very well. And you don't necessarily get a sense that they're going to be violent towards you, but something about both of them seems a little bit like maybe their will is broken and they just don't really give a shit anymore. You notice on the front there's a little blue tattered flag kind of waving down on the front of the rampart that's been kind of worn and dirtied with time, and like the bottom half's all frayed and kind of missing but the top portion you can see kind of the silver gauntleted hand of Torm, or not Torm, but Helm, with the open fist and the eye on the palm of the gauntlet. As you get a little closer, the man who's pissing, as he's kind of putting himself away, yells down at you, and he says, "Welcome to Camp Vengeance. What's your business?"
Looking for some trade, some information, and a safe place.
They kind of like give each other a little glance, and he says, "Well, there ain't no safer place on these rivers than Camp Vengeance, that's for sure. But we don't just let anybody in here. So, what is it you're doing out here in the jungles?"
Looking for a cure from the curse.
And he says, "Well, I can't let anybody into the camp without express permission from one of the senior officers. So give us a few minutes, and we'll see what we can get sorted out here." And
Sure
he kinda
thing.
nods to the other guy, who you see kind of looks like he shimmies down a ladder. This structure that you're standing in front of looks like it's about 2 stories tall. And now that you're kind of look closer to the front of the gates, on either side of you where the pits have been dug out, you get like this overwhelming smell of like piss and shit, and the pits are all filled with water. It's hard to tell how deep they are. They've been dug, and the whole camp just kind of is pretty murky and just reeks and seems kind of like filthy and worn down.
Attractive.
Well, what do you expect? They've been fighting undead a lot.
It's true.
Still, wouldn't you choose to like not shit at your front gate, like maybe to the side instead?
A few minutes later, the guy that was the Choltean-looking native that was in the leathers comes back, shimmying up the ladder, and he walks out to the front. And behind him, a dwarf comes up behind. He's got a big, scruffy red beard that hangs down to about his waistline. That's just kind of open and flowing freely. His head looks like it's been shaved, totally bald, and he looks to be in a little bit better condition than these two are. And he steps kind of to the front of the gatehouse, and he looks down at you guys, and he says, "My name's Ord Firebeard. I'm one of the ranking officers of Camp Vengeance. What is it that we can do for you here, travelers? What is your business, and why have you come?"
We're investigating the curse, trying to find a cure. But at this particular point in time, we're looking to see if you might be interested in some trade, and we'd like to have a safe place to, camp for a night.
He says,
And of course, information.
He says, "Well, we've got many injured and sick men in here. I'm sure that Commander Niles would like to speak with you. But if you could help us with tending to our sick and our wounded, we'd be more than happy to let you into the camp."
I'm sure I could help with that. I happen to be a cleric of Thard Hard, now, don't you know?
He
Can't tell by the antlers.
he says, "Ah, I haven't seen a cleric of your order in some time. Thardhar is one of the less common gods that us dwarves worship, but I'm happy to have one of the faithful in our camp. We'll get the gates open for you, and we'll let you right in." And he kind of nods back to the Choltean, who scurries back down the ladder, and the dwarf follows behind. And a few moments later, you hear it sounds like they kind of pull a big weighted bar off of the inside of the blockade of the gatehouse here, and the doors swing inward to let you all through. Ord steps to one side, and the Choltean does as well, and they kind of gesture for you guys to enter if you so desire.
Let's go in.
And now as you make your way into Camp Vengeance, taking in the entirety of it, what you kind of see is directly in front of you now as you step in. First of all, as you make your way in, you can see now clearly that the entire inside of the fortification, when they built it, they didn't really account for drainage, and that's what's kind of causing all this filth and muck to build up, and probably a Garn, what you would suspect to be a big source of maybe why some of the men here are so sick. You're kind of wading through ankle deep, just dark, filthy water, and you can see kind of at the back of the camp where they do actually have some latrines back there, but it's very clear now that you're inside of Camp Vengeance that there doesn't seem to be any way for anything to drain out. So a lot of this buildup just kind of remains here, and it's very mucky and wet and disgusting. You see directly in front of you a large tent, which looks to be like it's probably the command tent for the fortification, and to either side of it are two large round tents. And coming from inside of the large round tents, you can hear kind of hacking and coughing and moaning. Behind these three large tents, you can see a spattering of smaller tents that you would think are probably some of the soldiers' quarters and things. And then stationed on either side of the walls on the inner portions are the watchtowers that are also multi-leveled, two-storied little wooden structures. You see a couple of campfires in the middle of the camp, and gathered around one of them are some more of the tribal-looking Choltean warriors. There's a small pen of sickly-looking goats just below you as you first enter, and Ord steps up in front of you between two more human-looking, what you would assume to be Knights of Helm, and he says, "Well, welcome to Camp Vengeance. I'll see if Niles would like to speak to you." And he goes into the large command tent, and I think that's a good place to stop this session, because if we keep going, it's going to go into a whole thing.
Okay.
Sounds good.
So I'll just give you guys an extra Glyst. I gave everybody a Happy New Year's inspiration at the beginning of the session, so you got an inspiration.
Oh man!
And then another just 500 experience for everyone as well.
Happy New Year to all of you.
Yeah.
Happy New Year.
And yeah, nice goblin destruction there. That was I wasn't sure how that one was gonna go. I would thought that, but I was hoping that it would launch. But that was an interesting way for you guys to have taken care of that camp there.
Yeah, I'm glad I didn't have to fight all of those people.
Yeah, that would have been a pretty hefty goblin battle.
Also, personally murdering all the women and children might have been rough.
Yeah.
So that was
a lot of goblin younglings there.
So that was 500 XP for the session, or was that 500 plus the 420 you already gave us?
Yeah, 500 on top of the 420. Yeah.
Okay.
We are 500 away from 5th level.
Level 5, nice. So welcome to Camp Vengeance. It's a pretty abysmal place. But this is the front of the undead, and the Knights of Helm have been here definitely just taking the brunt of the evils of the jungle probably for some time here now. And next week you'll get to meet Niles Breakbone, the commander of this camp.
I am not impressed.
I always wanted to meet him.
All right, I will talk to y'all later then.
All
Y'all
right,
have a
guys.
good
Yeah,
day.
there should be a
See ya.
session next. There should be a session next week. So, barring any thing that comes up for me, but I should be pretty good to go. Hopefully we get a full session of Glyst next week too.
Yeah, I had just had last week. I was out of town, and
Yeah, it's all
where
good. You know.
like where I was, the internet was not it was hardly existent, so I didn't bother. But today I was I'm actually in the office, but I when I got here the internet was out, so it took me all that time to fix it. I heard all you got. I heard the whole planning session though for the catapult / tetherball / death smack.
Nice.
That was hilarious.
Nice. All right, cool. Well, hopefully I'll see you guys all next week.
Yes, sir.
Bye.
All right. Take it easy, guys. Have a good weekend.
Bye.
You too. See ya.